Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 26 series, Rescue the Rockies. And as we sit here on September 1st of the 2033 season, can't say that we've completely rescued the Rockies this year, but we have definitely turned around their season over the past 2 months. Our Rockies, who are seeking a fourth consecutive NL West title, were under 500 well into the month of July, but following a very good July and an excellent August, we have now edged into a half-game lead over the Diamondbacks and a 5-game lead over the Dodgers in the NL West. We have actually had the best record in baseball each of the last 3 years, with the Nationals sitting at 81-52 and the Rays at 83-51. Pretty unlikely for us, with only 28 games left to go in this season, that we can get by either of those teams and have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. But the goal is to certainly make things as tough on Washington and Tampa as possible, while hopefully, most importantly at this point, holding off Arizona and the Dodgers to ensure we win the division, and then also hopefully holding off Milwaukee or Cincinnati to ensure that we've got the second best record among a division winner in all of baseball, and will at least be getting a first round bye come playoff time. But a playoff appearance still isn't guaranteed either. We're now 3.5 games up on the Reds if we were to fall back into the wild card race, so certainly need some continued good play over this month of September to ensure that we're going to be positioned to hopefully reach our goals come October. And just want to highlight one thing that happened last episode before we get into the 4 players that we've brought up to the majors for September roster expansion. We did spend $16 million on starting a charity on the recommendation of our outstanding young outfielder, Kevin Roberts Jr. So we're likely to lose a fair amount of money this year. But positively, that boosted our fan interest by 7 points to 89. And more importantly, that investment in building up community engagement and community involvement ended up moving our fan loyalty from pathetic, where it has been since the end of the 2025 season when we took over the Rockies, until now, to poor. So poor is better than pathetic, so that investment was a step in the right direction. Ian, Undercover Boomer, Peter Hooper, and Ben Anderson all kind of noted that had happened in the comments to the last episode, and just wanted to acknowledge that. Typically have found that it takes around 10 years to bounce back from pathetic to poor. We had made the playoffs all 7 seasons since we moved to pathetic fan interest in 2025. So it's possible that being able to get that increased community engagement associated with starting up the charity, we may have saved ourselves a year or 2 of continued pathetic fan loyalty, and now move to the point where it's poor, which we're hoping will pay some dividends in attendance and ultimately in our top line and bottom line over the coming years. And as we sit here on September 1st, we're relatively healthy at the major league level. We lost Dave Seibrecht for the second straight year to a season-ending injury very early in the season. Former Rule 5 draft pick has only gotten to play 9 games for us over the past 2 seasons. And Ted Miller, our all-star designated hitter this year, still going to be out for another couple weeks with a high ankle strain. But other than that, only Marcelo Meyer banged up at this point, the veteran infielder, primarily a second baseman for us, dealing with a hip flexor strain, minimal impact. We're going to just sit him today and hopefully get him fully past that. But otherwise, the major league team is relatively healthy. Honestly, the injuries have been more significant for some of the top prospects in our organization this year, unfortunately. Kevin Canty, pretty important starting pitching prospect, and Ian Miller, a can't really call him a starting pitching prospect at this point, but a guy who we had hoped could be a fifth starter, long reliever for us. Both still dealing with some injuries. Our potential catcher of the future, Mike Girard, out for an unknown amount of time with back stiffness. We promoted him up to AAA recently. It's not inconceivable that even though he's only played 14 games at the AAA level, that he could be our starting catcher next season, given his defensive skills and the fact that we've got a $12 million option on the defensive wizard Drew Romo, who is definitely regressing offensively this year. Derby Mahez, done for the year, even if we have a long playoff run in the PCL with a strained knee. And then Hendrik Jan van Gorkum in the lower levels of our minor league system has also had a pretty injury-plagued year. So although outside of Seibrecht, we haven't had any crippling injuries that ended people's season at the major league level, definitely have had some of the younger players in our organization with some injury issues this year. So with that as a backdrop, we'll talk about the 4 players who were healthy and effective enough to be promoted to the major league roster. One is the starting pitching prospect Bernie Barrera, a scouting discovery of ours from back in 2028, just turned 22 years old. Think he could certainly be in the mix to be a 5th starter for us or a long reliever next year. Throws in the mid-90s. He was 13-3 with a 4.09 ERA at AAA Albuquerque for us. That added up to a 144 ERA plus and a 76 FIT minus in the PCL with a 3.5 WAR. So certainly not a lot left to prove in the minors for Mr. Barrera. He'll serve as a long reliever for us over the next month or so, getting his first crack at major league hitters. And we also brought Bill Douglas back up. He's a guy we sent down to AAA when we made a trade a little over a month ago, right before the trade deadline. He was very effective in 6 games there, has not been particularly effective at the major league level this year. The 27-year-old could kind of be in a situation where he's getting his final chance to prove or disprove that he deserves to be part of the future in our bullpen. The guy who we picked up to ultimately send Douglas down for the last month plus was Joely Garcia. He, since he joined us, has not been particularly good, an ERA of over 5 in just 14 1/3 innings pitched, has struck out 18 batters, but he's also walked 9. Overall, he's been above replacement level. His 64 FIT minus is very strong. That 385 BABIP against him indicates he's probably gotten a bit unlucky for us. Hopefully that will change over these next several weeks of the regular season and into the playoffs, hopefully. Also brought up 2 position players. Ariel Dihigo had been with us at times this year, hitting 231 and 78 at-bats when we needed some help in the infield. Did hit 263 and 259 at-bats at AAA Albuquerque. He's almost 27 years old, honestly not a big-time prospect for us given his age and his skill set, but someone who can probably be, with another option year left after this one, in the mix to be a utility infielder for us at times over these next season and a half or so, and perhaps into the future. And then similar to Bernie Barrera, another one-time prize prospect is going to get an opportunity to make his major league debut. That's Ramon Cantero. You may remember him. He was our primary IAFA signing back in 2027. The now 23-year-old hasn't developed the bat as well as we perhaps had hoped. He's spent this entire year in AAA where he hit 268 with 24 doubles, 22 home runs, and 86 ribbies. Basically, though, that's a league average-ish offensive player in the PCL, less than a win above replacement. Do think that Quintero can be a useful bat against left-handed pitching. We are going to play him against lefties in a corner outfield spot for us over the next month or so to hopefully ensure he gets some playing time, although he may not fully be up for the month because we are expecting to get Ted Miller back in a couple of weeks, at which point we may have a roster decision to make, and depending how Quintero has done, perhaps he gets sent down at that point. Already talked about the trade we made for Garcia. The other guy that we brought on board is Roman Anthony. Not a great day for me to be talking about him after the current Red Sox player in real major leagues had a very important home run last night when Boston beat my Yankees. But hopefully Anthony will provide some of that offense for us over the next month or so. He has not been particularly good since we brought him on board, hitting .227 in 154 at-bats, 8 doubles, a triple, and 5 home runs. But he's been a below-average offensive player and basically a replacement-level player overall. Does give us solid defense, but certainly would hope that the left-handed hitting Anthony can be a bit more productive for us against right-handed pitching going forward than he has been thus far. And as we get ready to hopefully hold on to the division lead over the month of September and guide this team back into the playoffs, a quick overview of the schedule. Got the final game of our home series against Houston today, and then 3 at home against Atlanta before we go on the road. Taking a look at 3 key series for us, we then have 3 on the road at the Dodgers, who, as we noted, are in 3rd place. We'll be playing 3 against the Dodgers in the middle of the month back at home. And then the team that has led the National League West much of this season, the Arizona Diamondbacks, we've got a homestand against them the final 3 games of the season, September 30th through October 2nd. So those could be very important games. Not inconceivable that whoever does better in that series at the end of the season gets a first-round bye. And it's also not inconceivable that the team that loses that series could miss the playoffs entirely. So could be some interesting action between us and the Diamondbacks at the end of the year. Obviously, our hope is that we'll have more than a 3-game lead at that point, and the games will essentially be meaningless to us. But how we do over these next 25 games will determine the importance of those last 3. And with that, it's time to get this month of September underway, see if we can hopefully, at a minimum, hold on to a playoff spot, hopefully put ourselves in a somewhat better financial situation by the end of this 2033 season. And it was a good first weekend of September for us, although our 5-game winning streak snapped when we lost the final game of the series against Houston. We did win 3 in a row against the Braves, so as we sit here on September 5th, still only half a game ahead of the Diamondbacks, who have also won 3 in a row. But the Dodgers, now at 500, have lost 4 in a row to fall 8 back behind us in the division. So looking more and more like a 2-team race, although, as I noted, we do have 6 games coming up with the Dodgers that could certainly change that. Gus Nieves remains very well positioned in his quest to lead the National League in homers and ribbies for a 4th time in 6 seasons. And Kevin Roberts Jr., who was last year's NL MVP, leading the league in OPS, 2nd in the league in batter WAR, with a chance to get by Jeremy Coate, who had beat him out for a starting spot in the outfield in the All-Star game this year. Roberts may be able to get past him in batter WAR. Leo Martinez, our number 2 starter, now 3rd in the league with 13 wins. Our number 1 starter, Noah Schultz, now leading the league in strikeouts and pitcher WAR with the final 4 weeks of the season ahead of us. Some other good news, one of our veterans, Ezekiel Tovar, was just named the NL Player of the Week, hit 586 with a couple of dingers, 8 ribbies, and 10 runs scored this week. 266 average with 18 homers and 63 ribbies. So after he missed that entire 2030 season due to a real significant injury, has not been quite the same offensive player as he was pre-injury and when he was in his 20s rather than his early and mid-30s, but still a productive offensive player for us who remains a very good defensive shortstop as well. And unfortunately, even though the Dodgers had been reeling, we dropped 2 out of 3 to them. They won the first 2 games of the series, unfortunately. And with Arizona playing a bit better than us, they're now half a game ahead of us in the standings. Importantly, a pretty significant injury just occurred as well. Starting catcher Drew Romo out for 5 weeks with an intercostal strain. That will certainly end his regular season and very well could impact his availability for the playoffs if that unknown injury recovery from Mike Girard is done, which I believe that it is. Could mean that he gets an opportunity to make his major league debut now and start trying to prove if he brings enough to the table defensively that he could potentially be our starting catcher next year, despite an offensive profile that is not particularly impressive. But again, Romo offensively has definitely been regressing significantly these last few years. He's going to finish this 2033 season with a 215 average and 382 at-bats. Did more than double his home runs from a year ago, but that's to 7 from 3, so still not particularly impressive. Ultimately put up just a 56 WRC plus and wasn't even a win above replacement despite remaining a very good defensive player. But as I noted, when we think about the injury situation, fortunately Mike Girard no longer listed there, which indicates that he has recovered from that latest injury he was dealing with, and we may just put him in the lineup every day as our starting catcher, given that we don't have any concerns about his defense, although we are concerned about his ability to hit major league pitching. And we are going to give former first-round pick Mark Girard, who was a supplemental first-round pick for us back in 2029, opportunity to make his major league debut. As I noted, we've got no questions about him defensively. Think he should do a pretty good job handling this pitching staff for us. But do question exactly what he's going to be offensively at a major league level. In the additional games that he's played since he came back from that injury, he's boosted his average to 377 in AAA and only 61 at-bats. But we do have to be realistic and look at the fact that he hit just 227 in AA before we promoted him this year. So don't necessarily have high expectations for him offensively, but this should be a good opportunity to see if he can put up offensive production similar to what we've been getting from Romo for the last couple years. And again, given that Girard is a rookie who will be making the minimum next year, if we think he's going to give us similar offense and similar defense to Romo for over $11 million a year less, the decision becomes pretty easy. And we ended up sweeping our first 3 games with Girard on the Major League lineup on the road at Wrigley against the Cubs. So closing in on the midway point in the month, we've got 6-game homestand against the Phillies and the Dodgers for this upcoming week. And we're now 2.5 ahead of the Diamondbacks. They lost 3 in a row. Looks like they may have been swept by the Dodgers while we were sweeping the Cubs. So 2.5 clear of the Diamondbacks in the division now. And still looking like Roberts Jr. and Gus Nieves could be very strong contenders to each win their second most valuable player award this year. Nieves, of course, won the Rookie of the Year and the MVP for us his first season after he came over as an experienced player from Cuba. And Roberts Jr., as we talked about, was the National League MVP last year. And Roberts Jr. has gotten past Coate and remained ahead of Michael Harris in the batter war race, leading the league in OPS. And he's now number 2 in the batting race, trailing just his nemesis, Jeremy Coate, from the Diamondbacks. And another positive series in the books, taking 2 out of 3 at home against the Phillies. And Ted Miller is now healthy and able to be put on the roster, so we do have a decision to make among our outfielders right now. And just a quick check-in on Mike Gerard, 4 for his first 18 in the first 5 games that he's played with us, so a 75 WRC plus, slightly above replacement level. Pretty similar-ish production to what we had been getting from Drew Romo thus far this season. And we ended up deciding to send the utility infielder Ariel Dihigo back down to the minors to get Miller on the roster. Miller takes the DH slot over, and Roman Anthony moves into center field. Gus Nieves moves back to right field from DH, and Dean West, who's hitting just .207 this year, will go to the bench after having been our center fielder. So we'll see if we can continue playing pretty good baseball. Hopefully can take at least 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers at home and start getting to a point where we can really focus on our magic number and perhaps getting that magic number down to 0 before that final series of the season against the Diamondbacks. And we can't really ask for much better than what just happened. Took the final 3 games of the homestand against the Dodgers. Those of you who have followed us over the years may remember that although we won 116 games last season with this Colorado team, and we beat the Dodgers by 26 games in the division, they took us out in the divisional series, beating us 3-1. So hopefully this sweep of the Dodgers all but ensures that we won't be facing them in the playoffs. They're now 12.5 behind us in the division, under 500 now, and they are 7.5 out of the final wild card spot. So hopefully we have ended any threat of having to potentially play against the big budget Dodgers against this season. They are reeling now with 7 losses in a row. The last 3, of course, from us. More importantly, we've got a 4-game lead on the Diamondbacks in the division with 2 games to go. Not going to, unfortunately, realistically be able to have the best record in the National League or all of baseball this year. The Nationals are 6 games up on us for the best record in the National League, and they have clinched a playoff spot, although they remain in a relatively tight race for the division with the Mets, and the Rays at 95 and 54 are 9.5 games ahead of us for the best record in all of baseball. They've already clinched the AL East, which they lead by a ridiculous 23 games. Nobody else has a winning record in the East. The Texas Rangers also have clinched a playoff spot at this point. Our magic number for the division is down to 9. Don't know that we will clinch the division this week, but certainly would think that over this next week we can definitely at least clinch a wild card spot, which would mark our 8th straight trip to the playoffs. Nieves with a 10 home run lead over Jalen Miller and a 20 ribby lead over Fernando Tatis Jr. Looks very likely to lead the league in both homers and ribbies this year. Roberts has dipped to 3rd in the batting race behind Coate and Harris II, leading the league in OPS. Now tied for 2nd in batter war with Coate. Michael Harris II surging recently for the Braves, who are at 64 and 85, not a contender. Pitching-wise, Leo Martinez tied for 2nd with Paul Skeens in wins. Noah Schultz remains in a very tight race with Yoshinobu Yamamoto to lead the league in strikeouts, and it looks like Schultz could easily lead the National League in pitcher war this season when all is said and done. But still 2 weeks left. I'd say at this point we'd like to wrap up a wild card spot this week. We'd like to wrap up the division before we have to play those Diamondbacks in the final 3 games of the year. And most importantly, we'd like to not suffer any significant injuries over these final couple weeks of the season. Already potentially lost Drew Romo, although as we've talked about, given that we do have Gerard on the roster, and Romo has really been regressing offensively since he's gotten into his 30s, not necessarily going to be a huge loss for us, although anytime you lose a starting catcher, it is a concern. And we won our first 5 games of the penultimate week of the season to push our winning streak to 8 before we dropped the final game of the series on the road against Cincinnati. But a 5-1 road trip, certainly very strong. Sweeping the Giants clinched a playoff spot for us. We've got 6 games left at home the rest of the regular season, 3 of them against the Giants once again, and then the 3 that we have been talking about against the Diamondbacks. The playoff spot is clinched, as we've talked about, so 8 straight years for the Rockies in the playoffs, and the magic number down to 2 with a 5-game lead over the Diamondbacks with 6 to go. So it is very conceivable that we will have the division locked up before we have to face Arizona. Technically, with our surging 9-1 record over the last 10, there is, I guess, a chance that if we ran the table, we could get by the Nationals and the Mets for the best record in the National League. But there's no way that we can possibly catch Tampa for the best record in baseball. And not sure about the schedule, but if the Nationals and the Mets are going to be playing against each other, that'll guarantee at least 3 wins for those 2 teams combined. So that could mean that we might mathematically not even have a chance at the best record in the National League at this point. But we'll check in and see if those 2 teams might possibly be facing each other. Take a quick look at the Nationals here and their schedule over the rest of the season. They've got the Dodgers and the Phillies, so the Nationals and the Mets won't be playing each other. Still think it's definitely a long shot, with the Mets right now being 3 games better than us, and the Nationals being 4.5 better than us, that we're going to get past both of those teams over this final week of the season to have the best record in the NL. But importantly, if we win the division, the Brewers at 83 wins can't catch us. So we will be assured of a first-round bye if we're able to hold on and win the NL West. And the league leaderboards continuing to show a lot of Rockies. Roberts up to second in the batting race now. Nieves definitely going to lead the league in both homers and ribbies. Roberts now 3rd in homers, still leading the league in OPS, and he is surged past Michael Harris, 2nd to be leading the league in batter WAR. Martinez alone in 2nd in the league in wins at this point. Schultz tied for the lead in strikeouts and leading the league in pitcher WAR. So looking like we've got some pretty strong candidates for MVP and Cy Young Award again this year. But again, as we look into these final 6 games of the year, would love to get the division clinched over the next couple of days, and then hopefully just keep this roster healthy for the playoffs. And Romo at this point looks like he's about a week to 2 weeks away, with a week left in the regular season. If we are able to earn a first-round bye, very conceivable that Romo will be back and healthy come playoff time. And we split our first two games of the Giants, losing 3-2 2 days ago and winning 10-2 yesterday. But fortunately for us, the Diamondbacks have also split their last two games. So with 4 games left, we've now got a 5-game lead. So we have clinched the NL West, and we have clinched a first-round bye. Still, with 4 games to go, mathematically have a chance at catching the Nationals, but I have a feeling by the time we play against San Francisco and then the Nationals play today and then tomorrow on the off day, we'll have a good sense of whether there's anything at all we're potentially playing for by the time we get to that final series with Arizona. Again, the only thing that we might be playing for is the best record in the National League, but we probably have to, well, we clearly have to run the table the rest of the way. With 4 games left, that gets us to 96, and we would need the Nationals to lose every game the rest of the way, while the Mets didn't get to 97 also. So I guess we can look at team by team as I'm thinking about this, see our record against the Nationals, and our Colorado Rockies are 4-3 against the Nationals. So if we run the table and they lose every game, we would have the tiebreaker against them. We are only 2-5 against the Mets, though, so we would lose a tiebreaker with them. So, as I noted, I think we're going to know more over the next 2 days as to whether there's anything for us to really play for over these final 3 games of the season. And we did win the final game against the Giants. Unfortunately for us, the Nationals have also won a game since we last checked in, getting to 97 wins on the season. So 96-66 is the best that we can do, which means that we are locked into the number 2 seed in the National League. We will have a first-round bye, but absolutely nothing for us to play for as far as division title, which we've already clinched, and playoff seeding, which is already locked in over these last 3 games of the year. Unlikely that Roberts is going to pick up 12 points on Cote in the batting race. Nieves certainly going to lead the league in home runs, certainly going to lead the league in ribbies, and Roberts Jr. looks well positioned to lead the league in OPS and batter WAR. Pitching-wise, Martinez tied for second in wins. Schultz has fallen behind Yamamoto in terms of strikeouts. Schultz leading the league in pitcher WAR. I think Schultz may be pitching today. We probably will let him get the start here in game number 160. And then obviously he'll be shut down until about a week and a half from now when we begin the playoffs. And we did get a 4-1 win yesterday, although Schultz was not involved in the decision. 2 games left in the season now. Leo Martinez set to go today, but given that he has been injury prone at times in the past, even though we had a good result with him in the development lab as far as strength and conditioning. Final 2 games of the season, we're going to go with the former first-round pick Brian Stoops, who has been our number 5 starter for most of this season. And in game 162, we're going to pitch Bernie Barrera, who we brought up at the start of September. He's made a handful of relief appearances for us, hasn't pitched in quite some time at this point, so he'll be fully rested for game 162, which will be the first major league start of Barrera's career. And we split the final 2 games of the season, 3-1 victory in game number 161 with Stoops on the mound. Only went 4 2/3 innings, so although he only gave up 1 earned run, did throw 91 pitches and was pulled just short of being able to be considered for the victory. And then we lost in extra innings in 13 innings. Traded runs in the 11th, traded runs in the 12th, and then the Diamondbacks finally broke through in the 13th inning and then held us in the bottom of the 13th. That's probably a bigger issue for them than us. They're going to have to play a wild card series after going extra innings in a meaningless game, while we're going to have several games to rest up at this point. Barrera with a nice first major league start, 5 hits, 1 walk, and 9 strikeouts, 2 earned runs allowed over 6 innings pitched. So mentioned Barrera had made a handful, actually only 3 relief appearances for us before that final start. So he was very well rested, ended up with a 1.54 earned run average in that very small sample size in the majors this September, and certainly expect that Barrera will be on our pitching staff if he's healthy next season, and certainly could be competing for a spot in the rotation, likely with the likes of Mr. Stoops. So when all was said and done, our Rockies win a 4th straight division title at 95 and 67, 6 clear of the Diamondbacks after having the best record in baseball 3 straight years. Way down the list this year, our 95 wins were the 5th most in baseball. 105 win Tampa Bay, the best team in baseball. The 100-win Nationals, the best team in the National League. The Mets at 98 and 64 are a very imposing wild card team, and the Rangers at 97 and 65 will have a bye as the AL West champions. Gus Nieves with 52 homers and 139 ribbies. Again, as we've talked about, just a really cool start to his career. He's now led the league in homers and ribbies 4 times in his 6 major league seasons with us. The 52 home runs and the 139 ribbies this year, both just barely career highs for the 32-year-old outfielder. The 248 average, the lowest of his career, but still at an OPS of over 900 and a 141 WRC+. Kevin Roberts Jr. follows up his MVP season with a very strong year, led the league in runs again with 119, hit over 300, and led the league in on-base percentage, slugging percentage, OPS, WRC+, and batter WAR at 7.8. Certainly going to be a very strong contender for the MVP award, along with his buddy Nieves. Certainly can't ignore Jeremy Cote in that race. Wins his 2nd straight batting title at 317, and also led the league with 192 hits and 48 doubles for the Diamondbacks. Might as well look at the other strong contender for MVP and Michael Harris II. Hit 300, over 30 homers, over 100 ribbies. He was a 30-30 guy, just like Kevin Roberts Jr., even though I didn't mention that. 7.4 WAR. Would think that Harris, playing on that poor Braves team, not as strong a contender for MVP as the likes of Cote, Roberts Jr., and Nieves. And as I didn't mention, but did just note, Roberts did also have 32 stolen bases this year, so he became the first 30-30 player that we have had on the Rockies through this series. Martinez ends up tied 2nd in the league in wins. If we had pitched him in game number 161, maybe he would have gotten there, but finishing alone in 2nd for wins as opposed to tied for 2nd in wins, not particularly important. Noah Schultz ends up 2nd in the league in strikeouts, but does easily lead the league in pitcher WAR. Yamamoto edged out the likes of Schultz and Martinez for the Cy Young Award a year ago, with a 15-5 record this year, the best strikeout to walk ratio, FIP minus, and WAR among anybody in the National League. Think that Schultz will be a strong contender for the Cy Young Award again this season. But certainly Yamamoto strongly in the mix as well. 15-9 record, but led the league in strikeouts per 9 innings. Martinez, who finished 3rd in the voting last year, probably not quite as strong a candidate. 16-7 record, 3.24 ERA, just missed out on 200 strikeouts, did lead the league in quality start percentage, but his 4.1 WAR definitely not in the same league as Schultz and Yamamoto, who finished 1-2 in the National League this year. And so, although we didn't have the best record in baseball, I did mention at the start of this episode that this team had a losing record well into July, that 8-20 record in May, and the fact that we were a slightly above average team in March, April, and June put us well behind where we wanted to be, but 19-6 record in July, 18-9 in August, and then a season best 20-6 in September positioned us well to ultimately win the division. Dominant offense, first in the National League in runs scored, and you can see first or second in most offensive categories. And the pitching over the second half of the season was outstanding. Got down to fourth in the league in runs allowed. Starter and bullpen ERA both improved significantly over the final couple months of the season. So we're also in a position where Romo has 4 games left on his injury, so he'll definitely be back and ready for us by the time we're playing playoff games. So feel like we are in a good position to, even though we didn't clinch home field advantage throughout the playoffs this year, hopefully we're in a good position to hopefully have a longer playoff run than we did a year ago, where we had that early exit to the Dodgers after an historic regular season. And we'll find out how this 2033 postseason goes in our next episode. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.